Hi, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm CEO of Fade to Black, and the question that's always asked is, how do you clean your Sebenza? And I wanted to show you how I clean mine. You got a simple Allen wrench. This is a tool that I made that I found was easier to clean my Sebenza. So anyhow, let's get to it. First thing you do is you want to unlock the pivot. And I always keep my screws the same as whatever I took off. And I use this tool to bring this pivot out. Then what I do is I spread it out. And what I do is I just barely unlock this first one, and that way I could just slide the blade out real easy. Next thing I do is I unlock all these screws. I always keep the screws together with your pins. And just lay it down and just pull it right off. Take out all the hardware. Remember, this was for the back and this is for the front. Now what I do is I clean the inside of the handle. Now this little tool that I made is pretty handy because I can actually pick up the spacers and actually clean them off from dust and debris that could later on get into your knife. And I just start piecing it together. Now I love these knives because they're just like so simple. I normally use this tool to pick up the pieces. Put my linear pin back in and just line it all up. Now I think, as far as the trick of cleaning your Sebenza is keeping everything a little bit loose, just barely snugged for afterwards. There's the handle. Tighten this back one a little bit more. Next thing I do is I take these off. Now it's very important that you always want to keep the washers at the same direction as you pull them off. That way you don't have to re-break it in. Take that pivot piece off. Now I also use this tool right here to pick up the pivot and clean that off. I clean up the blade in between. Now the next thing that I do is I'll take my Chris Reeves grease and I'll put little dabs of grease inside the actual pivot area. And then I use this the needle on the syringe to kind of swirl it around. Now I use that tool that I made to get the pivot back in line. And then I'll put little dabs of grease around where the washers will go. And I also use this to kind of swirl it around. I'll put my washers back on. Same thing for the other side. Put that washer back on. Now, next thing I do is there's a little bead that's on the lock bar, and I always like to grease this portion up on the side where that bead would be so that it runs smoothly. And then also you want to put a little grease on the tang for easy deploy. Now, the next thing that we do is we piece this together. Remember I told you that I always go lightly, that way it goes in. And I use this pivot tool to go in there, kind of line it up, give it a little twist. See how easy it went in there? Now this is the point where I kind of keep this one, the pivot screw, loose a little bit. And then I tighten these ones up. You don't want to over tighten them, just snug. And I put that out a little bit. Give it a little flick, that way it goes right in the middle. And then I'll tighten up that pivot screw. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been a help for you guys. Okay, bye.